Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for being here. For those of you that are just finding this channel, welcome. All right, so let's jump right in.
Nobody wants to watch.
So, for those of you that are not familiar with this case, Sebastian, 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, an highly functioning autistic teen, was reported missing on February 26th by his mother, Katie Proudfoot. Now, Katie was the only one home at the time of his disappearance. They had their day, and then she said at 9 o'clock, she told Sebastian to go to bed. At around 10 p.m., she heard a thud coming from his room, and she just yelled out to him, "I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, stop. You need to go to bed." And she said she heard him, and she knew he was okay at that moment. And then at around midnight, and then she didn't hear anything else. And then around midnight, she went to bed. She did not, she said she didn't check on Sebastian. That wasn't abnormal for her. As he's gotten older, she obviously checks on him less and less. And she went to wake him up around 6 in the morning, Monday morning, then followed on the 26th, and he was gone. Just completely vanished from thin air. Nobody knows what happened. Nothing has been found of him since. Now, let's take a look at some interesting facts before we get any farther involved. So, Chris's mother and father had split custody of him. All right. He was at the mother's where he lived with her and his stepfather, Chris Proudfoot. Now, just to give you a little back history that I think is super important to mention. Chris was in a custody battle with his ex for his daughter during this time. Now, it had been going on for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, according to Chris's ex, Nina Gomez. And there was a hearing scheduled for March 5th. Okay. For March 5th for the custody hearing for Chris and his daughter. Now, according to paperwork, Sebastian was supposed to meet with the judge, as well as other, so she could take into account everything before whether or not she was going to decide on custody of Chris's daughter. So Sebastian was supposed to meet with the judge regarding Chris's daughter and him getting custody a few days before Sebastian was reported missing. Now, according to Chris and Seth, there was an agreement made. Chris didn't want Sebastian in the home anymore. He wanted Sebastian gone. Now, according to both of them, they came up with an agreement and a deal that Sebastian was to go live with his father. Chris was trying to convince Katie, who wanted Sebastian to stay in the home. Chris was trying to convince her that him going to his father's was what was best for everybody, right? Okay, now take a listen to this. According to Seth Rogers, he didn't know of any actual abuse that was going on in the home, but he did say that on occasions, Sebastian would be having to go back to his mom's, and he would just tell his dad he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go back home. According to Sebastian would never give him a reason. He would just always say, "Listen, I just don't want to go." So there was obviously some kind of attention there. Now, if we take a second and we go back to Nina Gomez's interview when she was interviewed when this happened, when she was with Chris, she had 2 other children. And she did not like the way Chris disciplined them. He was very aggressive. very mean, and she just did not agree with the way he treated her children. Now, here you have Chris again in a home with another stepchild who he has admitted to smacking with the belt on his behind once, um, yelling at him. Chris was neighbors have come forward and said, listen, Chris used to call him really bad derogatory names. He used to get on him because he wasn't a normal boy, a normal teen boy in sports and this, that, and the other thing. He used to call him names like retard and things like that. Neighbors have come forward and said this. So again, this is not saying that Chris had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance, but it does kind of set the tone so everybody is on the same page and knows what's going on inside this household. Now, those of you that have not seen, I have got, first of all, today was the first day that I dug into this case. And man, is there a lot to go through between what Sebastian's dad has to say, between the Chris and Katie. I mean, there's just a whole lot going on there. So it is a lot to dig into, but I do want to pause because I will have a series of videos combing through all this different information. But the one thing I want to talk about right now is something that I learned today that I did not know yesterday or the day before when I made the videos that I made about the visions that I had received. I could not freaking believe what I heard today, what I found out today in coalition to the visions that I had previously, knowing absolutely nothing about this case. It actually blew my freaking mind. So we're going to get into that right now. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button to support this channel for free. If you want to do anything else, the links are all down in the description below. I appreciate all of you guys being here. So let's get right into this. Okay. So if you go back to my first two videos, which were very short, I was literally just telling you about these two visions I had regarding this case, which was completely bizarre because I had no idea about this case whatsoever, right? So in the first one, I just got a glimpse, a vision of Sebastian inside this wooden trunk. Okay, that was it. Come to find out, there is someone related to this family. Now, I'm not saying these two are related. I'm just saying how bizarre is it that there is someone related to this family that actually makes wooden chests, wooden trunks. I was like, whoa. Secondly, I had a vision of this man and woman, and you could see this wooden trunk inside of this RV. Now, it looked almost identical to the one that I have pictured on here. It was an older model, not spick and span, not nice, not fancy. There was this older model RV with this light blue. It was faded, but it was this light blue stripes down the side of it, and the other color of it was white. Inside, it was kind of like run down and raggedy, not real nice or anything. And I could just see this man in this flannel shirt driving this RV with this woman who had medium length brown hair. And then I find out today, according to Chris Proudfoot, he wasn't even home when Sebastian was missing. According to him, he was on location in Memphis, Tennessee, as a crane operator working on a St. Jude's building. And he left to go start on this job in early February. He was staying at an RV park in Memphis, an RV campsite park, campground type place in Memphis, Tennessee, while he was on this job. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Now, I don't know, according to, let me see if I can find it. According to this video that I had seen online today, the name of the place that he was staying at was Easy Days RV Park. Now, again, that's according to a video that I saw today. What I'm sure that police have questioned and gone through and talked to people at this campground where he claimed to be staying. Because it would have been, obviously, it would have been their due diligence to do so. But I do find it very interesting that that Chris Proudfoot has not taken a polygraph. His mother did, but Chris did not, because he said that Ellie said as he wasn't at home that night, it would make no sense for him to take one. Now, if it was me, I would have insisted on taking one just to clear up any confusion, but that has not been the case. But I am very curious to know if during his stay there at this RV campground park, if he had talked to anybody else there, if he had talked to any other people, man, woman, that was staying there during this time, and if any of them happened to have an RV as the one that I described. Now, I could not freaking believe it that he was staying in an RV park, and all of a sudden I had just gotten these things yesterday. Like, it was completely bizarre to me. But anyways, getting back to the point. Now, I want to talk about this video that was shot from, or that was taken from outside of the home, that a lot of people had said it looks like two flashlights out and around the home, the Proudfoot home, on the night that he would have disappeared. And the Proudfoots are saying, listen, it's been determined that those were not indeed flashlights, blah, blah, blah. But they do say that their son went missing, and the only thing that was gone was a little tiny little flashlight that he would have had with him. Now, the other one thing I did want to mention is normally with autism, it doesn't matter if you're way low functioning or all the way at the other end of the spectrum. They're very particular about certain things. Now, they're saying that he disappeared barefoot because all of his shoes are there. Then you have his father saying, listen, there was one time when Sebastian was barefoot. He stepped on a fire ants hill, got attacked by fire ants, and from that moment on would never, ever go outside barefoot. So you take the fact that he had this experience, that he has autism. What are the chances that if he left on his own volition and just ran away, that he would leave without putting shoes on? I just think that's super strange. That makes no sense to me. Another thing that I did want to mention. So Chris claimed to have been working at the time that all of this happened, that the night Sebastian disappeared. Katie called him in the morning, said, listen, I can't find Sebastian. She looked all over the house, couldn't find him. She drove around the neighborhood, couldn't find him. And then Chris, actually is the one who called and reported that Sebastian was missing. But if you ask his fellow workers who were working with Chris at the time, one of them actually came forward and said Chris wasn't working Sunday or Monday. He was actually on a 4-day weekend. And then way later on in the game, it come to find out that he was actually at a poker game that night. So, and according to Chris, who just wanted to put this out there, that he was staying 3 hours and 37 minutes from door to door, from the Proudfoot's home to where he was staying at his in Memphis. He made it very clear to make that a point, which, you know, I won't even go there, but 3 hours and 37 minutes. Now, I don't know if police have been keeping this case very close to the vest. So I don't know if police have found out if his truck actually left there that night and made it back and came back to Hendersonville. But let's say they did, and let's say his truck never came back. What's to say her vehicle didn't go out that way, right? Now I do want to talk about the Texas Roadhouse video, which was the night. So he was reported missing on the 26th, but nobody ever seen or heard from him after he answered his mother at 10 p.m. that night on the 25th. Okay. Earlier that day on the 25th, they had been at Roadhouse for dinner before going home. And you can see them. That video was just recently released of Sebastian eating. And you can see his mother sitting there. And she took 2 pictures of him while he was sitting there eating at the table. And if you zoom in on her phone, it does appear that she took the picture and sent it to someone. But obviously, it's not close enough where you can read what's on the screen. But it did appear that she took pictures and then sent them to whoever for whatever reason. And again, Sebastian was not seen by anyone outside of his mother the rest of the day, the rest of that night. Okay. Now, 2 months after Sebastian was reported missing, Chris decided that he was going to go back to work. So him and Katie both left the house in his RV. And when interviewed by Nancy Grace, Chris said he left because he had decided to go back to work. And Katie said, I'm going to accompany my husband back to work and then I'm going to return home. Which, your son is missing. He's been missing for 2 months. You're making public pleas, trying to get the message to him to just come home. I'm here for you. We're waiting for you. But then you up and leave with no idea of a return date as to when you're going to come home. All meanwhile, the father is still searching for his missing child. There's a lot of people out there that want to say, people look at parents and they speculate and they do things and they say things when they don't have all of the information. But people go off the information that they have at the time. And when parents act in such a way as these two have, it's very hard not to dissect things, pull things apart, look at everything individually, and then look at it as a whole picture and go, wait a second. Okay, what really happened to Sebastian Rogers? Now, again, I want to know if Chris had communication with anybody else that was at that RV park, that was at that place during the time in which he was there. Had Sebastian and Katie ever visited him while he was staying at this park? Had anybody else in this park ever seen Sebastian? Could Chris have met up with a man and a woman or anyone for that matter in this RV park? And that's when the deal was made for Sebastian to be given up, right? As I talked about in my previous video. So again, as far as the things that I'm saying right this second, these all go back to what I was saying in my last video. So if you have not done so, please go ahead and watch that video. But there's so much more information. And I have so more many videos to come that I want. There's a bunch of things that I want to discuss and talk about. So, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I just find it completely bizarre and insane, really, that I happened to get these two visions the other day about these two things that I had no prior knowledge of. And then today learning these things that I learned. And it's just mind blowing to me that I'm even more invested now that I know that, I mean, this is a very plausible theory at this point. But again, let me hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share this video. And let me know what you think. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. And I will see you all next time.